Hello, I am Almad, right, in a Fortnite, and I am playing Istrolid? Istrolid? I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm guessing they're making a pun on asteroid, which is a very spacey thing to do. As you can see up in the corner, they have the beta tab on it, and they are still working on this. One thing I would like to note is immediately upon playing it, my computer says it has a CPU usage issue. I don't know if that's serious, but when I first opened it, that's the first thing that popped up. This is a multiplayer fleet building game. And, well, as you can see here, I started playing it yesterday to kind of get the hang of it, and I kind of just kept playing it. I like the game, I really do. Let me just pop into a mission somewhere. This is where you design your ships. You click and drag whatever parts you have onto the screen. You can connect them up like Legos. One thing I wish, see, you've got the 2-1 reactor here, right? Why can't I just turn that so that it's on the side? Or with these batteries, why can't I just turn that so that it's on its side? I'm guessing maybe they'll have some things to do with that later, like with the wings. Why can't I turn it this way so that it's on the side and pointing out? Or why can't I turn this one upside down? You get my point. But this is where you build your ships, and they have a huge list of things to work with. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to go into multiplayer and build the biggest, baddest spaceship ever, but unfortunately that's not how it works. You have to come into campaign mode, and you have to play some of the games and unlock some of the pieces and generally get your bearings before they allow you to play multiplayer. I've designed my ships sort of like I would think a real fleet would function, which, as you saw on the map screen, got me pretty far, but not far enough. I have this one here, my little shuttlecraft, or my fighter craft. It's got an autocannon, which, if you read the tooltip, fires 5 bullets in rapid bursts. I take this to mean it kind of acts like a shotgun. So it flies in, pat, 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 and then you can fly it back out or maneuver around with it. This is a very small ship, although it's battery powered. So once it uses all of its energy, it's gone. You can also see that on the little bar here. It takes about this much energy to run. It has this much energy in reserve. And the bar around it is where how much energy you would be, but it doesn't have any because it doesn't have a reactor. This, however, this is my standard issue ship, like the ones that you would most often see in the fleet itself. This one has a reactor, a 2x2 reactor, of course. So it is generating power, and it is actually generating more power than it's using, as you can see by the white outline. It's using about that much power at any given point, and it's getting a little more energy in than it needs, and that's good. It takes about this much power in order to move, and that's like the rest of the power usage when it's shooting and stuff. I have updated this from the basic armor to the voltaic armor. Well, volumetric armor. I call it voltaic armor out of habit, but that's not important. Balanced in cost and weight, but takes up more space. I have these cheap wings on it as well. And the Scout thruster, cheapest available thrusters with a shield generator. Now, of course, in the top corner here, you'll see that this costs $314 in order to manufacture. This one costs $80. This one is $930, and this one is $961. How much money your ships actually cost to build is a very big factor. I also have my destroyer and my would-be battle cruiser, but I'm not very good at building ships, apparently, because I can't get through any of these other points here. Let's just get into the battle, and I can show you things. So first off, you move the screen itself with your arrow keys. But you control your ships with the mouse. Now I've got my corvettes here, as I like to call them, and I'm just going to send them off to the farthest planet. Get up a couple of my destroyers. It's going to take a minute because they're very expensive to make. Meanwhile, my corvettes should be just about in range. And well, they made it past that initial charge. Meanwhile, I'm going to take my functioning destroyer and I'm going to bring it up to this planet here. You can see that these areas are rather small, but your ships can move fully independently of whatever's going on. My second destroyer is now operational, and we're going to send them in. You can also zoom in, get a nice up-close version of what's going on. You can see that my ships are very large, very cumbersome, so the enemy ships are outflanking them. My destroyers, though, are making light work of them all. So I'm going to send this destroyer off here and send this destroyer off here. And then commission some more corvettes just to serve as defensive units around this area. Not really working so well, but now the enemy ship is out of power. One thing I really wish is that they had a little X in this corner so that you could tell it to stop making ships. So that you could be like, oh crap, I don't need this ship anymore. Click, click. Now build all these. Click, click. I'm guessing maybe they're working on that. My corvette here in the corner has just completely nuked that other ship that had run out of power. And it is reclaiming that territory for me. Meanwhile, my destroyers are settling on these planets. And, you know, that's where I'm going to leave it for now, because I'm kind of spread thinly here. My corvette and my fighter jet. Well, actually, my fighter jets aren't going to be of much use in this area right now. You can see when they turn around, these little arrows will tell you exactly where they're aiming and exactly where they're shooting. My fighter ships have actually rather large range considering, so they will be able to aid the corvettes in defending this planet, even if the corvette that it's chaperoning cannot. The enemies in their scout ship have taken another planet, so I'm just going to move my corvette and my fighter up to this area, while my destroyers keep bay on the other planet. Obviously, I can't build too many of my more expensive ships because you don't get that much income at any given point. This destroyer here, as you can see, is quite haggard. They're both quite haggard, having to defend this area all the time. But their long-range weapons do make short work of some of the weaker members of the enemy fleet. However, the AI is not stupid. I have to say that for the record. The AI that they've programmed for this game is way smarter than most other AIs I've seen. My Corvettes are keeping the enemy fighter, or whatever class you'd call that, at bay. It's only got a missile launcher, and my Corvettes have anti-missile technology on them. So they're just kind of sitting there at a stalemate. And now I'm going to bring in my battleship. And I'm going to march it off this way. As you can see, it has some very long-range weapons, nearly encompassing the entire geometry of the ship. Some lower-ranged weapons in case something gets closer. Front weapons encompass nearly the whole ship. As you can see, the enemies are still sending out fleets against mine, but my destroyers and my corvettes are holding the line very well. They're not optimal designs, I am well aware of this, but they do seem to work, at least on occasion. So I'm just going to get another battleship and line it up with these guys. The battleship and the destroyers are all armed with some form of long-ranged weapon. It's apparently not working so well right now, but that's an issue I'll have to solve later when I go back into fighting my fleet. The enemy does seem to have my corvettes on the ropes, but that's why I can build some more. These two fresh corvettes should get there in just enough time to confront the enemy and make short work of them. Or not! These are not the fastest ships in the galaxy. No Millennium Falcons here, unfortunately. The ship's now engaging in melee range, and they're done. The enemy's sending out several smaller ships, a few shuttles, a few fighters, and they're going to break the line. Well, they would have if my destroyers hadn't gotten through and cut off reinforcements. My corvette actually has a reactor, while the other enemy ship apparently was running on battery power, so my corvette basically outlasts it. And there's no way that a single fleet of ships is going to be able to outdo a fleet of my stronger ships, so that is just that. When they're all bunched together like this, their weapons range is improved, so I can easily defend both planets if I need to, but I don't. And that's how fighting works. As you can see, I won this match, which I get the shield capacitor, which adds more defensive points to the shield itself. A lot of these scenarios, I was about to say something else for a minute there, but a lot of these scenarios are actually very problem-solvy. One of the first scenarios you have is against a very large, very well-armed opponent, and you have to be able to maneuver your ships around them in order to attack their rear armor, which is much more easily destroyed. Which is something I like. If you have the time and can actually concentrate yourself well enough, you can focus on individually dogfighting your smaller ships against the larger ships, and that can be very helpful. So I have a set of corvettes there, and they should be able to hold the line until my destroyer arrives. Meanwhile, I have a small fighter ship just skirting around the outside. Unfortunately, my corvettes don't seem to be up to the task. But my destroyer is well capable of handling itself, thankfully. At least until the others show up. So that one's just going to kind of harass me. I'm going to send in my battleship. And more than likely, my destroyer is going to end up being destroyed. Not before taking out some other members of the fleet, though. This fighter is about to get obliterated. But I can still make it run for a minute. A lot of you are probably already noticing the glaring problems I'm having with my ships. Very slow, very cumbersome, and not good against armor-piercing technologies or more long-range technologies. Apparently, the enemy ship has run out of power, which I would have been able to use if I hadn't gotten destroyed just now. So yeah, these ships hanging around here, not a good thing. I also wish that you could tell them which ship to aim for, like park right here, but shoot this ship from behind first, and then shoot at the second ship. But they don't automatically do that. The ship, it's turning to its side armor to give it a better chance of survival. My ship is running out of power trying to fight it, but it hasn't taken any damage, and that's the problem. So I'm gonna send in another corvette. I know if I send my fighters, they're just going to be completely obliterated. I might not have any choice in order to keep the enemy busy, though. These guys do have a lot of power. I mean, firepower, of course. So that ship is probably going to have an easy time breaking down those guys. This thing right here, this appears to be a support ship, which is basically giving power to all the other ships. As you can see here, it's giving me a little tooltip since I've been defeated. It's like, don't worry, you can use this to help you beat them. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be helping me all that much, really. Most of my ships are very big and very slow on their own, as you can see. So, why don't I get rid of a few of these? They don't really seem to be helping very much. I'll slide this in here. I'll change out the small shield for a large shield. I'll put in a couple of shield capacitors because, well, everybody needs a better shield. There are 3 reactors already on these, and 2 batteries, so hopefully that would be good. Still not enough to fill out the bar, though, so perhaps I need a couple of extras. Like I said, I really wish I could just turn this so that it fits in this little space here. because then I'd only have to buy 2 instead of putting in like that. Of course, the cap is $1,000, which I, unlike a lot of people, do agree with, okay? I can see why they did that. I mean, look at this monstrosity. You definitely don't want to be fighting this thing in a dark alley. Let's take away one of the missile defense platforms. Change out these wings up front here for the slightly cheaper versions. Let's put a gun turret. It's got 2 light cannons. Let's take off one of those light cannons. Move this light cannon to the front. I want to put on an EMP gun, but that uses a lot of energy. And I mean a lot of energy. Let's have a torpedo. You know what, let's forget putting in the other turret, and let's just do this. Okay, let's make a little room here around the nose. Grab that, put that there. And we'll move up. And that is a weapons overcharger. Will increase the damage of adjacent weapons, meaning this one, because it's the only one that's adjacent to this square, and will power it up at the cost of reload speed. More often than not, this weapon's only going to fire once, period, so the first volley, it gets into range, pap, 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 but with extra strength. Now, the light cannon is most often the normal cannon, most often the one that you're going to see firing. The plasma turret is the longest range thing I have, other than the torpedo. So I'm going to leave that there. My battleship is apparently woefully unequipped. I'm going to move that and move that. Get the bigger shield generator. And get a couple of shield capacitors. Heavyweight armor, 16 HP. This is probably going to cut down my ship's HP for a bit, but I'm going to give it some slightly stronger armor around the body section here. And that doesn't help. You know what? I'm going to take these off, stuff this back in here, stuff that back in there. Something tells me this isn't the most brightest move in the galaxy. I'm going to take out these two reactors and these two reactors. And I'm going to put this one reactor here and sort of make room back here and put in one reactor here. But I'm going to take out these smaller batteries and put in these larger batteries. I'm going to take out the shotgun laser, as I call it. I'm not sure if I'm going to put anything else in that spot. Looking over my weapon choices. I think I'll know what I'd do. So that the missiles will protect the more centralized version of the body, I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to give it two of these beam cannons. So switching all of this around to the volumetric armor, excuse me, please. This is probably something I should have done a long time ago. I'm gonna keep that area at the back though, just for the sake of it. Looks more like a pipe than a battleship, I must admit. But hopefully that'll make it more maneuverable. It is slightly cheaper. So let's go now and see if I've actually improved myself a bit. Let's build two of my battleships here, and two of my smaller ships. I'm going to send my battleship to this one fighter here, and one fighter here, just so that we can kind of speed up the proceedings a bit. My battleships do seem to be moving a little faster, but we'll see what they're up to when we get to the fight itself. I'm going to get a couple of corvettes again, and they're going to defend the outermost planet. I'm going to send the fighter ship to do the same now that it's done with that planet. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I thought was going to happen in the first place. The other ships are going to meet this one head on. That didn't work. Well, I can get that one back soon enough. Made it cheap enough, but the armor doesn't seem to be holding up as well. And of course, they're just going to go for a snag rather than actually fighting me. Unfortunately, this isn't going to go very well for me. My corvettes seem to be taking on the missile volleys rather well. It seems to be the only thing the ship is capable of. Although it doesn't work forever. What I need is something with enough shield power in order to be able to take on the barrage from that one ship. Zooming in, it has basic everything, but it's battery powered. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. The problem is that specific fighter has a lot of punch to it for the few brief times it's going to be able to fire. Which is apparently something I just can't account for right now for some strange reason. Okay, let's get rid of these shield capacitors. They don't seem to be doing anything. Also, it doesn't seem like my torpedo launcher fired, like, ever in that fight. So, maybe if I switch the turrets around a little bit. Give it another reactor, maybe. Set the torpedo in the main gun. The flak cannon up front. Giving more power to the plasma turret. Switching all of that around. The main laser, the defense laser. Maybe I should have the defense laser in a more centralized location. That seems to help things. Not entirely certain, but I'll do it just this once. Let's try this again, just for the sake of it. Yeah, I have to laugh at myself because I'm very confused right now. Like, which ship was I just working on? I don't remember. Okay, we're gonna focus all of the ships towards this central location because that's where they're going to go. Now, I have ideas for a support ship, but I've never made one successfully. All of the designs you see here are actually, ones that I have modified from their basic designs, because apparently I'm just not good at building the ships myself. Again, we don't really seem capable of taking a direct assault. They've both already lost one hull point each. My torpedoes are not launching. I don't know why, but they should be. I see that all of their units are apparently made with batteries. That doesn't seem to be making them any less effective, though. So, let me get a destroyer. Oh, a battleship. I'll move these two down here. Also, something I'm not very good at is multitasking, in case you haven't noticed. Let's seems to be the support ship, basically giving energy to the battery-powered units. This is basically a fool's errand right here. My corvettes seem to be doing rather well. Well, not extremely well. Let's get another one of these out here. Some fighters, because it's going to need the backup. Yeah, that didn't help any. And that's the one thing I've got to overcome right now, is the fact that these small fighters just have so much power on them. For some reason, my larger weapons aren't firing. That whole time, I got more firing from my plasma cannons than I did my torpedoes, which I'm very concerned about. Anyway, this game has probably gone on for far too long, so I'll just cut it off here, and maybe next time I'll figure out what I've been doing wrong and redesign my ships appropriately. Hopefully you've had a nice look at this, and if you feel like it, go see my friends at Fort Nerd, and come watch some of my other videos.